Hi guys, how are we all doing? I hope this video finds you well. Okay, so 3 stories today. It can only mean one thing on a Saturday. It's story time. Just before I get into the stories, I just wanted to ask you, I put out that video in the week with Marley. We went up to the old city, Ayutthaya, the first capital of Thailand before Bangkok. I think it was around the 1700s that it moved. Have to check that one out. But I enjoyed making that video and I think it was quite interesting. Before that, we did the railway market. That was also another great day out. So what I'm thinking, if there's anything you want to see around Thailand, if you've got any ideas, because I look at YouTube like everybody else does, and I look at a lot of other YouTube bloggers, vloggers, whatever you want to call them, and I don't really want to do the same sort of thing as them. There's a lot of guys filming down there in Pattaya, and various YouTubers here in Bangkok tend to kind of do the same. Not knocking them, I'm just saying I don't want to go down that path. So if you've got any ideas, something you'd like to see Marley and I go out and film, and remember, be sensible because we can't film everything. Remember, it's YouTube. If you've got any ideas, let us know and we'll certainly take it on board, and that might be a day's filming for us. Okay, as I said, I'm trying to get out more and more now. I'm here in Bangkok. People want to see what's going on in Thailand. They don't necessarily want to see what a plate of food looks like, although some of those channels are very, very popular, aren't they? Right, okay, let's stop with all the rabble. As said, I've got 3 stories for you today. I believe these are quite good stories, as I always say. Let's get straight into them.
สวัสดีค่ะ
I was born in Southampton, Hampshire, UK, and lived my early life in Southampton until I moved to Sydney in 1994. Over the last 3 decades, I have visited Bangkok many times for work, conferences, but usually it was a fly-in, get brainwashed with corporate Kool-Aid and fly out. Certainly no time to relax and enjoy the surroundings, especially with a family waiting at home. In the very late 1990s, I did get to holiday in Koh Samui a couple of times and absolutely loved it. But then marriage and kids came along and tropical holidays became a distant memory. Fast forward to 2023, I was able to persuade my beautiful and lovely partner to come with me, teenager free, to Koh Samui for a 2-week romantic island holiday. Life is good. Better than that, she is okay with me to stay for a few weeks longer without her and explore other parts of Thailand and report back on findings for our next vacation. What a woman. Now this story literally just happened. It's got wet paint as we are talking just a few days ago on our 2023 Koh Samui trip, and it is a story of the highly used Honda Click and hidden dangers. I rode mopeds as a teenager back in the UK back in the mid-1980s, FS1Es and AP50s, and I have a Royal Enfield 500 at home now. So I'm not a newbie to biking and hold a full motorcycle license. In fact, it's been close to 40 years since I first hopped in the saddle, all of which has been accident free. So the tale I will tell is not told from a position of no motorcycle experience. I have even solo ridden other Honda Dream scooters on Samui and Bali back in the 1990s. But this time it's different as it involves carrying a pillion passenger. Being a bit older, now we wanted to be 100% compliant with the law and make sure our travel and medical insurance was valid, so I bought an international driver's license and my partner does not have a bike license, so we decided to rent just one bike to carry both of us and she would ride pillion with me. Tip number 1, not all Honda Clicks are equal. You can get a 125cc or a 160cc. If you are doubling up, you will need the torque of a 160 if hills are on your journey. At least if you are weight combined about 170 kg, Samui has several hills on the coastal circuit, so I recommend the 160cc for 2 people. Tip number 2, some rental clicks are obviously newer than others. Try and get a newer click, make sure the saddle locks, make sure the tyres are good and you will need good tyres. Tip 3, don't double up pillion passenger. A Honda Click into the mountains jungle area on Samui, not even a Click 160. We broke 2 of them and this is what happened, and both experiences were within a blink of an eye ending and both within a week. We are lucky to be alive and tell the story here. Honda Click number 1. Rented from a specialist bike shop on the main street of Chawang near our hotel. When I say specialist, I use the term loosely as they had two lines of businesses. One renting bikes and business 2, a shop selling the green stuff which I won't mention here. I think that should have been a warning sign. 5,000 baht deposit and 300 baht a day rent. They only needed a photocopy of my passport and it seemed a reasonable deal, and I quite liked the Thai guy doing the renting. They only had one Click 160, so that's the one we took. Off we went, no problems. Went all around the island for a day, here, there and everywhere. Lovely, lots of fun, top bike, easy to ride, plenty of power and quite comfy for a scooter. Noticed the seat did not look other than that a few pre-agreed scratches. It was a good bike, or so I thought. I took it back, I got 5,000 baht return and the copy of my passport. All was good. 2 days later, my partner says she wants to go to the Magic Garden. She had seen another YouTuber go up there and she wanted to see the place. No problem, I said. We can ride up there, no need to book a tour. So back to the shop we go, get the exact same Honda Click, drop the 5k deposit and 300 baht rent, and off we go. Fun day and some very steep hills, no problems at all. Take the Honda Click back, same deal, deposit returned. So what's the problem, I hear you ask? Problem was trip 3. Our confidence in the Honda Click was very high after making it to the Magic Garden on trip number 2. We decided to head for a famous temple, which is a temple just about at the top of Koh Samui, if not the very top of Samui. Off we go, back to the store, 5,000 baht down, 3,000 baht a day. Shake my new best friend's hand and off we go. My partner missed the warning signs on the way up, and when I say up, I mean it was a mini mountain, not a small hill, to get to the temple. Almost at the top we encounter a massive incline. The Click literally said no, I can't do it. It ran out of steam, slowed to the speed of a snail and stopped. My partner, who jumped off, walked 200 meters up the steepest part of the slope and then hopped on once the gradient was a little kinder. Having said that, the Click did finally make it, and it got us all the way up there, and what a place that temple is. I thoroughly recommend to visit it. Beautiful artwork, statues and fantastic views of the entire island. Now, this is where life could have changed, but for some very good luck. My tip, always donate decent paper money at the temples. I think we were saved because of it. On the way down, I pretty much needed to ride on the brakes, no choice. The road was terrible, badly paved, very steep, twisty, and there are literally no safety barriers to prevent your certain death. Make a mistake and it's over. The cliff and straight into a body bag if they ever find you. If you come off that crazy road. So down we come, slower than a disabled tortoise, brakes on pretty much the whole time. I am well aware of brake fade under extreme heat, so I try to go slow and be very gentle, letting the brakes off at every flat and carefully reapplying just before we got to the next slope. All was going well until about halfway down the mountain when I let both the front and back brakes off on a flat stretch of road. Then just before the next slope, I reapplied the brakes only to find the front brake lever had literally no front brake at all. Zero, none, nothing. Lever to grip and front wheel turning like it was off to the races. Thank God we were about 3 feet before the next dip and the rear brake caught us. If not, there is no way that rear brake alone would have been able to hold us, and we would have been 100% been over the next cliff edge and done for, that I'm certain. It was an oh crap and thank God moment. We were saved by some very good fortune. It's no doubt a near-death experience. Total front brake failure on a mountain slope. Not many people live to tell that tale. We got the bike back to the shop. Different story how we did that. 5,000 baht returned. Very happy to be out of that shop and say goodbye to my new friend. Off we go back to the hotel, out for a good night, never to rent that little Click again. So you think that would be one near-death experience on holiday? No. Introducing Honda Click number 2. I found a lovely brand new one rented out by the lady who did our laundry near the hotel. Only 3 months old, immaculate, perfect bike and also 160cc. What could go wrong? 3,000 baht deposit this time, 2,000 less than the first shop, agreed the same rate of 300 baht per day, reused the same photocopy of my passport, deal done with a smile, and off we go. Out for the day, went to a port on the west side of the island and rented a longtail boat and captain for a private stormy partnering trip. Great day out, no problems. The new Honda Click was lovely to drive, smoother and quite a little peach. My partner and I both said we would buy one just like it if we lived here. Perfect scooter for the island. Liked it so much we kept it for a second day. A big mistake. For no logical reason at all, we looked at the map and decided to head to Joom's hut. It was not too far away and the views looked good. Up the mountain, the little Click goes. What could go wrong, I thought. She's brand new and purring like a kitten. Up and up we go until Joom's is almost within sight, with probably just one final ball-breaking incline for the little Click to climb. My confidence was high. Worst case, I thought, the little Click will grind to a halt again and my partner will jump off and walk the slope. Major judgment error by me. Almost a life-changing bad decision. Up we go, and yes, to a grinding halt, the little Click comes. It was too much to ask of even the 160cc with a pillion passenger. On with the brakes and down with my feet, and was about to ask my partner to hop off when the tyres completely lost grip with the road concrete surface and we started sliding back rapidly. This is where again a higher being must have been looking after us. The bike fell almost immediately to the left. My partner was thrown off backwards and we both ended up in a ditch before the bike had a chance to pick up too much speed. I was now in the ditch with the bike on top of me. My partner was thrown a couple of meters behind me in the same ditch. Both of us took a pretty big hit. The little Click was upside down on me and dripping fuel. Petrol is not the best fragrance to smell when you are literally pinned underneath a motorcycle. Luckily for me, the exhaust was topside and the engine had cut out, so there was no spark and no flash point. We both lay in the ditch for a minute, dazed before we could talk. I could not move at first as the bike had me pinned down. My partner took a while to get up as her head had taken a big hit and was dazed a bit out of it. Thank God we were wearing helmets, both of which on post-examination had taken a massive hit and had almost certainly saved our lives. After just a minute, when I got my senses back, I was able to wriggle out from under the bike. Thankfully, no serious injuries, sunglasses snapped, and I now have a nice sore shoulder. My partner is covered in scratches and a couple of small cuts, which, given the nature of the accident, is remarkable. Good outcome that I am happy with given the circumstances. The lovely new Click, less fortunate. Left mirror completely broken, seat and body plastic snapped and broken, foot pegs bent, handlebars bent, brake levers scratched, and when I tried to ride it, it would only steer to the right. Great for going around roundabouts, but not for exiting them. Probably much more damage, too much to list. Needless to say, we did not get our 3,000 baht deposit back. We ended up handing over 7,600 additional baht for repairs and 1,000 baht for goodwill, and frankly, I felt lucky we agreed such a low price for trashing a brand new Honda Click 160cc, which was handed to us mint condition and handed back looking like it had gone 10 rounds with Mike Tyson. Moral of the story is, it doesn't matter if you're an experienced rider or not. The Honda Click is not built for the heavy westerners to pilling up mountains, 170 kg, 2 people. It's simply too much for the bike on a mega incline with the poor road surfaces you find on Samui. My very strong advice, please always wear a helmet, even if you see 90% of the locals and 95% of other tourists don't, and do not double up into the mountains jungle areas, even if you see the locals doing it. They are probably half your weight and know their roads, their passengers and their bikes. Remember, travel insurance only kicks in for medical if you wear a helmet. So for that reason, if no other, put a helmet on. Our combined total of physical injury with some light cuts, scrapes, strains and bruises. Very fortunate indeed, and we dropped about 11,000 baht into the poor lady's hands to fix her Click. Final comment. Hate the rider, not the bike. The Honda Click is a brilliant little scooter. When ridden within its limits, unfortunately it's not built to climb mountains too up and with overweight westerners. He's right, it's a great little bike. It's actually the bike that I've got. Honda Click, they're one of the most popular motorcycles here in Thailand, or scooters. They're scooters actually. You've got the Honda Click, you've got the Scooby, you've got the Wave, which is that's got gears on it. The Honda Clicks are automatic. You don't have to know how to change gears or anything like that. They do the 125cc and they do the 160cc. I bought a brand new 160cc when I got here. Absolutely love it. I go everywhere on it around Bangkok. If you take it easy and you just assume people are going to pull out on you, it's relatively safe. I haven't had any problems, touch wood, but it is a great little bike. But one thing I'll tell you, when I first got it, because I always rent bikes when I'm here, every time I go to Khon Kaen or not Khon Kaen, Pattaya or Hua Hin, I always rent a motorbike for the day. It's normally about 200 baht a day I pay, not 300. It must be more expensive on Samui. And normally the bikes I rent are normally the 125 because they're cheaper for the rental shops to buy rather than the 160. The 160 is a later model. And when I got my Honda Click 160, I was riding it around and I thought, I don't notice any difference between the 125 and the 150. I've got a friend sometimes I take on the back, and I thought there's no more power than the 125. But when I noticed it, I went to Pattaya and it was with a friend and we wanted to go to Jumptin. So I said, well, and he wasn't particularly heavy. And I said, jump on the back, we'll ride over there. And as we were riding over there, I was kind of looking at it and I said to her, I turned around, I said, there's something wrong with this bike. It's really sluggish. I think it's got a problem. But actually it didn't have any problem. What it was a 125, and I was so used to ride the 160 that when I rode the 160, I discovered that the 160 is actually a lot more powerful because it took me riding the 125 before I actually found out. So if you ever do come here and you're thinking about buying a scooter, the Honda Click is an ideal little bike, but I'd definitely go for the 160. You've just got that extra oomph, and when you've got somebody on the back, it's a lot more easier. Okay, so people who don't ride motorcycles or scooters and they're not into motorcycles or scooters, they must be watching this now bored shitless thinking, please get on with the next story, and that's exactly what I'll do right now. Okay, right, story 2. My name is Adrian and I am from the UK. I have been watching your channel now for about 6 weeks and have been listening with interest to some of the stories you read out. Some of them have flabbergasted me, and their naivety and stupidity, some of them have saddened me, and most have enlightened me to how people have found romance and scams in Thailand. I have been to Thailand twice in years gone by, but never been to Pattaya. It interests me greatly to go there and experience it firsthand. But I might add at this point that I have a partner who is from the Philippines. We met over 2 years ago and I spent a lot of time in Manila last year with her. She infuriates me sometimes. She is very strong-willed, very intelligent, knows 6 languages and is 30 years my junior. I would not be without her as we are extremely loyal to each other and we are both loners with no immediate family to consider. So I mentioned to her about going to Pattaya and spending time there, maybe a month to see how it goes. She is bisexual, so she is interested in meeting some bar girls. I might add here that Rose, my girlfriend, was also involved in that industry many years ago and was a model as well, so she knows the score. So getting back to your viewers' stories, my first opinion is that men who think they will have a long-term relationship with a bar girl have got a screw loose and need to wise up before they make terrible mistakes. Yes, as I said, Rose was involved in that scene, and because of this, I feel I'm quite qualified to make this observation. It seems to me that as men, we think with our equipment, you know what I mean, and our brains get left in the hotel. I've been through similar many times and so have some experiences of this. I'm not saying that all romances will end in disaster, but if we believe what has happened to some of the people in the stories, then most will end up that way. So what is the point I am trying to make? In our own countries, we moan and despair because of for whatever reason, we cannot find a partner. I have been married twice and have many partners with varying degrees of success over the years. So let me give you an example of what I mean. Yesterday I was in Sheffield City waiting for a train, and on the station were many stunning women, mainly in their 20s or thereabouts. Any woman older, it seemed, had kids, a husband or a partner. So this age group might equate to the women we found in bars in Pattaya, for example. Now, we all know that if we go to Pattaya to meet a woman, then those women will predominantly work within the bars or similar industries, and it seems that most are there for one reason only, to make money, whether for family or their own children. So when we go into the bar and we meet a very beautiful girl, fall head over heels in love and swear our undying love, What utter BS this is. Any clued up bar girl will use you up, spit you out, ready for the next man. So maybe the 3-day rule is one we should all use without question, and never ever give them any financial information or say you will look after their sick grandmother or buffalo. We would not do this in our own country, so why we assume it will work fine in other countries where we do not understand the language, cultures, or ways of the Thai people? It's absurd. Anyway, coming back to my particular relationship, if Rose and myself go to Pattaya, we will not go into a bar as a couple. We will not divulge which hotel we stay at, or maybe not give anybody our real names, and certainly not phone numbers until we have surveyed the scene more. Yes, I already know I have a partner, but even if Rose was not with me for whatever reason, I would still do all those things mentioned above. The reason is this. I have been scammed so many times in the past, and I'm extremely cynical of everybody and their motives until I get to know them. So guys, keep your money out of sight, all valuables left in the hotel, take only what you need and go have fun, keeping in mind a 3-day rule. And if you want a girl for the night, then go to a short time hotel, never ever give her the name of where you are staying. Now, Peter, if we do come to Pattaya soon, then I hope we will practice what we preach. Should be very interested. So, I personally feel that's a little bit critical. I mean, I know the guy will be listening to this story, so no, I'm not having a go at you. I just don't think it's as cut and dry as that. And let me give you a few examples. So, in the story, you say you wouldn't do that in your own country. True, you wouldn't. But then, in your own country, most Western countries, people get support from the government. So, if you get a girl, she has children, the husband runs away or the boyfriend runs away, then she'll get support. She'll get financial support from the government. They'll house her, they'll give her an allowance for the baby, they'll give her an allowance to live, buy food. So it's easier for them. They don't have that welfare system in Thailand, or very little. So if a girl meets a guy when she's 16, 17, thinks she's going to be with him for the rest of her life, has a child or two, and he turns out to be no good, or he runs off, what's she going to do? She can't go to the government with a handout and ask for money. There is no such thing. So if she comes from a poor family who can't help her and she's struggling with that baby, she's only got one choice, hasn't she? If she's not educated and she didn't receive any formal education, then she's limited on what she can do. And if you know anything about Thailand, factory work is not the best paid work in the world, especially if you're trying to support a child and your family. So that's one thing. The other thing is, if you go to a place like Pattaya, it isn't all idiots that fall in love with bar girls. I've known some successful stories. I'm always preaching myself and say, look, if you want to find a girlfriend, don't go into a go-go bar, don't go into a bar. And I still stand by those words, because they're not the right places to look for a permanent girlfriend or a real girlfriend. But that said, I've experienced many times where guys have picked up girls in beer bars. So I've had a bit of a dark past, we'll say, and it has worked out. And in fact, there was a guy I told the story about, and I'm hoping to interview him soon. He's in Australia, and this is a guy who met a girl on Tinder, and when he came out here to Thailand, she confessed to him and said, look, I've been a freelancer for 8 years, and it all worked out, and they've been married for 12 years. So again, I don't think it's so cut and dry. You can't always put things into compartments. You've got to be sensible. I agree with a lot of the things you say about not giving out too much information, but at the end of the day, a lot of guys go to Pattaya, take girls back to their hotel rooms. I don't think that's such a big deal, as long as you lock everything away in your hotel room safe. I mean, you've paid for a hotel. What's the point of paying for a short-time hotel? I mean, I think it's a little bit paranoid. I think most guys who go down to Pattaya, if they meet somebody and they want to spend some time with them, they'll take them back to the hotel. They'll just make sure there are no valuables laying around, laptops, watches, money. Everything goes in the safe when she's in the shower, and most people don't have any problems. That's the other thing. Other than that, phone calls, everything's done by line. You exchange line, don't you? As soon as if you have a problem with somebody, lines like WhatsApp, if you haven't been here before, if you get her line details and you text in and it's all gone well, and suddenly it goes ticks over, as they say, and you don't want to talk to her anymore, you just block her, delete her, and that's the end of. She can't contact you, you don't contact her anymore. So good little story, but a little bit critical there, I think. And as I say, you just got to use your common sense when you go there. Right, okay, enough from me. Let's go into our third and final story of the day. Back in 2006, I was living in Bangkok near Sukhumvit Road. One day, I was in 7-Eleven getting some credit for my phone. This was when the Nokia phones were the phones everyone was using. There was nothing else around, actually. I was trying to put the credit on my phone when I ran into problems with it. At that moment, a deep and seductive voice behind me said, "Let me help you with that." I turned around and came face to face with a stunning ladyboy who sorted my phone out in a few seconds. I thanked her and offered to buy her a coffee, which she accepted. So we left the 7-Eleven and we went to a cafe next door and started chatting. I was completely spellbound by this ladyboy, her tall, graceful, strong figure and her gorgeous voice. When we finished our coffee, she took me to her bar that she ran, and we spent the afternoon drinking Tiger beer and really started to connect with each other. She spoke excellent English, so our conversation became quite deep and meaningful. Her name was Wayne, and she was from Pattaya. At some point, Wayne began telling me about her transition from a very young man to the goddess now sat before me. She had all the changes and was fully post-op. This only got me even more excited and began to get a floating sensation in my heart, though I had about 10 beers at this point. The voice of reason was nagging in the back of my mind saying, "Be careful, you don't know her yet." I listened to that voice and I didn't rush into anything intimate, which took every bit of willpower I had. The next day, I went back to her bar and offered to buy her dinner, which she accepted. I took her to a nice restaurant at the top of the Rembrandt Tower. This became a daily routine and we took turns to buy each other dinner at various restaurants. About a week later, the inevitable happened and we ended up at my apartment together for a night of sheer pleasure. The next morning, I remember opening my eyes and just staring at Wayne's back and seeing a teardrop-shaped birthmark below the back of her neck, which I thought was really cute. Wayne also had a snake tattoo coiling around her left thigh, which was a work of art and looked like it cost a lot of money. We had breakfast together and met up later that day. What followed was a week of wonderful days and amazing nights. Then quite suddenly, it all came to an abrupt end. Nothing nasty happened between us, but fate had other plans. Wayne got a phone call one morning and had to head back home due to a death in the family. A week later, I was on a plane back to the UK for the same reason. Wayne and I hadn't even exchanged phone numbers. It was 9 years before I was able to return to Thailand due to various reasons such as work, many matters and money. In 2015, things changed and I was free again. I booked a flight and a couple of nights in a nice hotel near my old apartment. I wasn't surprised to find that Wayne's bar was long gone. I thought to myself, well, that's how it is in Thailand. I spent the rest of my holiday in Phuket, which I loved. The following year, 2016, I was back on the plane and this time I decided to try Pattaya. It took a couple of days, but I began to fall in love with this place and soon found a couple of favourite bars in Soi 6. And I also enjoyed kicking around Soi 6/1, most evenings too. One evening, I was enjoying good amounts of Chang beer and tequila shots when I was approached by a tall, slender girl called Ning. We ended up getting very intoxicated together and headed back to my hotel. We both pretty much passed out as soon as we got there. I woke up a couple of hours later to hear Ning talking on the phone in my shower room. I was still pretty drunk and didn't think anything of it and fell asleep again. The next morning, I awoke and opened my eyes to find myself staring at a back with a black bra strap. That's odd, I thought. I'm sure Ning was wearing a white bra last night. As my eyes cleared, a teardrop birthmark came into focus. It took a few seconds for me to register exactly what I was seeing. Suddenly, I was wide awake. I pulled the duvet aside and revealed a snake tattoo coiled round her thigh. It was Wayne. My mind was racing. How was this even possible? I took some deep breaths and gently woke Wayne. She looked up at me and smiled. "How did you? ? Where's Ning? My sister tell me she go home." Then Wayne showed me a photo of us together at her old bar in Bangkok. Ning had recognized me from that photo and called Wayne over. What are the odds of this happening? Wayne and I had 3 wonderful weeks together and are still in touch on Facebook. We have no plans for any serious relationships, but we are just great friends. Okay, so I know stories about ladyboys are not everybody's, not everybody likes them sort of stories, but there are a lot of guys who do. I'll read them out. If you send them in, I'll read them out. So on that subject, as always, I'm always begging for more stories because I get through them like, you know, every week, 2, 3, 4 stories. And again, I don't just tell stories about Thailand now, mostly Southeast Southeast Asia. So if you've been to the Philippines or Vietnam, wherever it is, and you've had a similar experience, it might be a positive experience. It doesn't have to be a train crash disaster. You might have met the girl of your dreams, and it's all worked out. You're married, got kids, and the world is good. Just put it in an email, send it to me. I'll change your names. Everything will be nobody will recognise who sent it in. Okay, that's it for this week, guys. Thanks very, very much for watching once again. And as I said at the beginning of the upload, just a reminder: if you've got any ideas, some things you'd like to see Marley and myself go out and film, I've got a car, let me know. We'll take everything on board and we'll decide where we're going to go. Okay, but all your suggestions will be welcome and taken seriously. That's it from me once again, guys. Thank you very much for listening to me. I'll catch you all again next Saturday.